Hey, good evening, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. We've been gone for a while. We are so excited to be back with you all, and we have a great show today. We're going to be talking about songs from 1983, and I was doing the math. Yes, it's 40 years, and
Amazing.
it was kind of shocking to me. But we looked at the list and we thought, wow, these are some really great songs that came out in 1983. So stick around. We're going to have a great show. And we want to hear what you have to say and what are your favorite songs of 1983. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. George, how are you, buddy?
I am fantastic. I am excited about season 2 of Counterparts. We got some great stuff
I
coming
know.
this
Yeah,
year.
this is so exciting. We are, we talk about this a lot, obviously, but not so much on the show where we really was shocked last year. we
Yeah.
we kind of had no idea we were gonna have the amazing guests that we did and the response that we did that we got, and it was really a blessing. And we want to thank everybody who took the time to watch our show and to write us and to send us stuff and to all the guests that gave us their time, because we know that there's a lot to do. People are
Mhm.
busy. There's a lot of things that's going on, and for them to be able to come here and spend an hour with us is such a blessing, and we are super grateful. So thank you to all our guests, and thank you to all of you for watching. We appreciate it. We're going to be bringing to you the same thing. We're not going to change much because we had such a great year. Why change it? But we are going to add more. We're going to be
Yes.
adding a lot more, and just try to really just elevate the quality of the show. And I'm gonna keep my hat. I'm gonna keep my beard. The funny thing about the beard was that I was telling people I was gonna shave it off for the next thing, and I got so much pushback. Like they were like, "What, are you crazy?" And I'm like, "That's your thing." I was like, well, I'm kind of tired of it. I was like, "No, don't." So I got really yelled
No,
at,
that makes the
including
show. I mean, the hat, the beard, that's what makes the
including
show.
including my kids. My
Well,
kids
that
are
too.
my kids were like, "No, don't shave it." I was like,
There
"All
you
right."
go.
So this week we're gonna do something interesting for our first show of 2023. Happy New Year, everyone! Hope you all had a great New Year's. But 40 years ago was 1983, and George and I were talking about we're musicians and we love music. We're actually, it's love is not even really a strong enough word. We're sort of obsessed with music, and we were talking about doing a show about songs from a certain era. And I just randomly, I think, picked 1983. I don't know why I picked that
Yeah.
year, but I just wrote it in, and it came up. And the songs that were on that list of the top 20 songs were pretty mind-boggling. I couldn't believe it. So
Mhm.
um, what we're gonna do today, it's gonna be we want to hear from you also. If you have your favorite song from 1983, we're gonna go down a list. We're gonna do the top 20. Obviously, we're not gonna take too long on each one. And then George and I picked five of our favorite songs from that era. Now, somebody did ask me a question as I posted one of the content promoting this. They asked what genre of music, and I thought, oh, that's a valid question. Well,
True.
we were looking at pop music, the
Right.
top 40, the most popular songs of the year. But yeah, I mean, you can do top songs in jazz or blues or R&B or rock. But we were looking at overall pop music, popular music of 1983 and those top songs. So that's what this list is. And what are your thoughts on that, Jorge?
Well, I'm an 80s, sometimes I'm afraid to admit it, but I'm kind of an 80s guy as far as music goes.
Yeah,
I
you were big
actually
on that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because I grew up in that era, but I love the 80s music. I think there was some great melodies there. I think a lot of there was great songwriting there. I
Yep.
mean, and also musicians.
Oh man.
And there was some unbelievable musicians that played during that era.
Man.
that were just, and I loved the whole concept of the studio musician and these guys that were playing, and I fascinated by them, and I watched their biographies and stuff. So I don't know, I don't know, I love that stuff.
Yeah, the 80s were one of those interesting because there was also a lot of new stuff coming in with the whole keyboard sounds and
Right.
a lot of techno sounds and um you know the 70s, late 70s was that, what do you call that, pop rock, not pop rock, what was it, Sting and the Police
The
and
Police. Yep.
the Ramones and
Mhm.
what do you call that? I forgot what kind of style of
Well,
music it is.
you're talking
Yeah.
about now I'm blanking out
Yeah,
on it.
that. See how much we're into music? You see how obsessed we are that we can't even
Punk.
think of the punk
Punk.
punk
Yes.
music.
No,
Yeah.
I just
So,
called you a punk
oh, you
because
just
you
said,
don't remember these.
but funny you called me a punk because
That's
that's exactly what it is. So punk music, and then that kind of led into a lot of a keyboard and
right.
harmony, the Casio decade.
Yes.
But within that decade was incredible music. I mean,
Oh yeah,
amazing
definitely.
guitars and amazing
Uh,
bands and it was just really great. So we picked one
um,
year from the 80s, which is 1983, which was a really an amazing year. And we're going to go down the line. So what I'm going to
yeah,
go,
but before we do that, John, I just want to make sure that we mention our sponsor.
oh yeah, jeez, sorry. I'm so
John's so
excited about
excited.
being back and just getting started. I almost forgot how to hit the buttons when we started this. I was like, wait, what do I do this? How do I do this again? So, but we are back and we are excited.
Uh,
And yes, we do have a wonderful sponsor. So take it away.
Yes. So, as always, the Counterpart Show is brought to you by Wellness Resources, a family owned and operated nutritional supplement company providing the highest quality, clinically formulated supplements since 1985. Not 83, 85, but there was good music in 85, by the way.
That's true.
Find out why Wellness Resources supplements are the top choice of health conscious individuals, including myself and other folks around the world. Make sure you go to myvitaminresource.com. And this month, the month of January, they are having a sale. It's 25% off thyroid and weight management supplements. So we all know that thyroid and weight management tend to go together a lot. So make sure if you want to check out all those supplements, go to myvitaminresource.com, get 25% off. Plus, if you enter the promo code Counterparts, you will get free shipping on the order. So make sure you check them out.
Cool. Excellent. By the way, a lot of people might not know that. So if you don't know that, you got to follow George because George does a Counterparts Wellness Talk show and he has incredible information on there. And you can follow him on Instagram also. So it's just a little plug for your
Thank you, sir.
for the side thing that you do because it's great. I'll be watching it and it'll pop up and I'm like, oh really? Like, I didn't know that, So it's really great information. But yes, thank
Cool.
you to our sponsors. We appreciate you very much, or our sponsor, eventually sponsors, and we appreciate it. So, okay, 1983. Now I
I
was in
was I
my
was
early,
young.
I was, I was in my early 40s, and
I was gonna make that joke, but I
I know
figured
you
you
were.
were,
I had a feeling somebody was.
yeah.
That would always be always the joke. But no, I was what was I? I was let me see, 78,
Oh my god,
78, 79, 80.
really?
So I was like 15.
I was 11.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, because I'm 15. Yeah, we were about 4 years apart. So yeah, I was 15 years old. And it was a great age
Yeah.
because think about some of the people that were out in 1983. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Definitely.
we're gonna talk about, a lot of these artists here. So what we're gonna do, so we're not here for 4 hours, which George and I do sometimes.
Yeah.
We feel like we could do a 4 hour show on if it's about music. We're gonna go and we're gonna go through the list, top 20 of 1983, and if you guys have any any thoughts on it, please let us know in the chat there. Let us know, just let us know your thoughts on it. This was taken, just so we know, this is from playback.fm, which is the charts from the top 100 songs of 1983. We're only going to do the top 20.
Mhm.
Um, I might do 21 because 21 was a really a great song that I really liked.
Do
Was
it.
so we're gonna start on 21. Why not?
Go for
Um, Spandau Ballet, True,
it.
Spandu,
You
Spando.
know, that song, by the way, every time it comes on, I listen to it.
It's a great song.
It is a great song.
It's a
It's
great
a
song.
beautiful melody. I
Yeah,
like it, and
yeah.
and the guy said, by the way, it was very hard for him to sing.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a really hard. I mean, how do you even do that live, like consistently on a
right.
tour of 200
Exactly.
shows a year? You know, I mean, that's
Exactly.
really difficult. It reminds me of Randy from the Eagles,
Mhm.
um, where he had that song. I can't tell you
Why?
why.
Yeah.
At the end, he has that really
Yes.
high thing, and
Yes.
it was like really difficult for it to be consistently hitting that every single
Mhm.
night, and
Yep.
it's a huge hit.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like
Exactly.
it's
You got to
hard.
do it.
Yes. So yeah, so that was number 21. All right, so now let's start our real list now. So number 20 is it's a really important song for me, um, because my mom was obsessed with this song, and it was Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, "Islands in the Stream."
Ah,
And
nice.
it was one of those songs that our names disappeared, but that's because I didn't put them in here. Doesn't matter. But it was one of those songs that, you know, it came out and it was a crossover, really.
Mhm.
It was one of
Yes.
it introduced me. Well, Kenny Rogers really introduced me to country music. I think he
Correct. Right.
introduced millions and millions of people to country music. Because he
Right.
crossed over so incredibly as such a huge superstar. I would have never heard of a lot of the country artists that came up. After I was watching him, even Hank Williams and some of the older guys, Alan Jackson and those guys,
Mhm.
because if I was listening to the radio and it was a Kenny Rogers song, when I got old enough to like be able to buy music and stuff,
Mm,
I would go to the Kenny Rogers section and go to the country section, and I would see other artists say, "Oh, I wonder what this is." And I don't know if
mhm.
you remember back in the Tower Record days where you can go and you could put headphones on and you could kind of like
Yes.
test. So there was like
Yep.
a country section, so I would test out records, and I remember Roy Orbison was another one that
Mhm.
really introduced me to the Traveling Wilburys.
That's
That was
right.
like a huge thing for me, and it really brought country in it. So this is an important song for me because it really broadened my musical spectrum.
Mhm.
And my mom my mom was a huge music lover. My mom loved music, and it's definitely where my biggest influence in music was my mom. She played everything from Kenny Rogers to Air Supply to she would get the records. She'd have all the Thriller album and stuff like that. And she would come in with those, and so that was a big influence on me. But she loved this song, and if you remember when you put the record on, you can hit a little button that it would just go back and just replay it again.
Yeah.
So she had it on replay, and it would play. I would wake up, it's playing. I'd have breakfast, it's playing. I go outside to play. I come back, it's playing. It would be like all day long. Island in the stream, gotta let
Yes.
me on. And she just loved that song. So that was number 20. Do you have any thoughts on that song? Do you remember it?
No, it's a great song. I've always loved that too, and it's funny because I hadn't heard it in so long. I heard
I
it
know.
recently, but I mean, literally, it's one of those songs. And again, a lot of these songs I identify with because at that time, my mother used to drive me to school in the
Mm,
morning, St. John's actually,
yeah,
and I used to hear these songs in the morning.
yeah,
So
yeah,
every time I would walk in, because my brain sticks with a song, it would stay with me the whole day.
yeah.
So this is one of those songs that would stick with me, and I'd be in school and I'd be "Islands in this dream,"
Same
but I
thing.
love it. Yeah,
Yeah, same
great
thing for
song.
me. It was just such an obsessive. Let me see if I hit this. Oh, good. They hit our names here again. Yeah, it was such a great song. I actually recently just put it on my playlist, as a matter of fact.
Mhm,
And if you go to Spotify, if anybody's interested in like a playlist, I created this playlist, and it's called Great Melodic Songs. Now, if you listen to this playlist, it's not a playlist of like pop songs from the 70s. It's not from the 80s. It's not from the 90s. It's not from 2000s. It's from
Everywhere.
everywhere. I have John Lennon in there to Jason Mraz. If it has a good melody in it, and it moves me, it's
Mhm.
on this playlist, and it's like I think it's like I don't know what the hours are on it, but it's a pretty long playlist. It's at 9 hours now, so
Oh,
you can have 9 hours of
is that all?
9 hours of this playlist. You can just play it, and it's a really good one. But anyway, I just added Islands in the Stream on there because it came up
Nice.
on in my radar again. I was like, oh yeah, I haven't heard that in a while. All right,
Mhm.
let's move on here because we have a lot
Go
to talk about. All right, so number 19 is Men Without Hats, the Safety Dance.
Safety dance.
Yeah, yeah, not. I like Men Without Hats.
Right.
That song was not one of my favorites.
Not mine either.
Yeah, not one of my favorites, but I do like some of their stuff that they have. I can't think of anything right now, but they have some good stuff. Number 18, Eddie Grant. Do you remember this?
Electric
Remember?
Avenue.
Electric Avenue. Again, not one of my favorite tracks of the year,
Here.
but a very entertaining song,
Yes.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's what it
Agreed.
was. It was like a song that was kind of different.
Right. It was a catchy tune.
It was
It
very
just
catchy, and it was
yeah.
one of those things that you can actually be outside and somebody will say, where is it at? It's Electric Avenue. You know, it just became, and then you take it higher. It just
Yeah.
became a funny thing for people to say. So it was a very popular song. At number 17, we have Rod Stewart with Baby Jane. We talked about Rod Stewart, one of our favorite artists of all time. George can't get enough Rod.
Ay, ay, ay.
George cannot get enough Rod, if anyone understands.
Remind me to clip that one out.
Edit. Number 16, number 16, Michael Sembello, Maniac.
Maniac,
Yeah.
maniac.
On the floor. So that was from the film
Last
Flashdance,
Dance. Yes.
and that was actually a very good film. And I grew up, in the Bronx, and I was sort of a ghetto celebrity. I would break dance, and it got out for some reason. Somebody just told a lie that I was in Flashdance. And there's a scene where they're doing dun 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 dun.
Right. Right.
Whatever the
White lines.
breakdancing scene is. What's the song? I can't remember. It's just begun. That song.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So anyway, there's a song in there. There's a little guy looked just like me at the time, and he's doing all the stuff that I used to do. Exactly the stuff. So it got out that was me, and it's happened to me at least 3 or 4 times. I was on the subway one day. I'm on the platform now. That's the guy from Flash. And
I
I'm
would
in
have
my
moved
head,
it.
and in my head, I'm like, "Oh God, please stop!" I'm like, and I was so introverted that I didn't even know how to like say, "It's not me."
Right, right.
But I just was like, stay quiet and just pay attention, look forward. This was before like I didn't have any headsets where you can just pretend like you're like
Uh,
you don't hear anything. But yes, this was a long time ago. So that was okay. So that was where was I again? Oh yeah, Maniac. Number 15, Marvin Gaye, Sexual Healing. Now, isn't that
actually,
interesting? I, for some
yeah.
reason, thought that song was like much older. Like
Really?
Marvin Gaye, Sexual Healing, 1983. I don't know why, but I think of Marvin Gaye as like, I don't know. I guess I just thought black and white Marvin Gaye from Motown and not necessarily Marvin Gaye close to, unfortunately, when he was taken from us,
Yeah.
with Sexual Healing in 83.
Was it, when did he die? Was that 84, 85,
I
or was
thought it
that
was
later? Or was
earlier.
it later?
I thought it was earlier, to be honest.
Wow.
But I'm not really sure. Let
But I
me.
guess, yeah, I mean, I can understand because, you think about Marvin in the, like, what, maybe the late 60s with Trouble Man
Yeah,
and,
April
those
1st, 1984.
84, look at that. So it was a
4.
year later or that year, that later year, wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
remember that too. I remember
Oh,
when
I
that whole
remember that
thing when
too.
he passed, and I was like,
That was like
at the time I was still young, so I didn't understand how big he was,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah,
I
it
didn't
was
probably even I didn't get that either. I just knew that it was all over the news. It was a major thing. I mean, it was his
right.
dad and all that stuff. So it was the tragedy of how he went out. Um, but the song, very, very, very good song.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
good lord. I mean, you talk about a song that the title and the energy completely complement themselves so well.
Yeah, he
Sexual
created a
Awakening
beautiful
song.
picture
Yeah,
in that
and it
song.
wasn't like, and we're gonna do a show in the future about music and about love in music and stuff for our Valentine's show. And he wasn't dirty.
Right.
You know what I
Correct.
mean? He was
Correct.
just oozing of sexuality, and
Right.
and you can feel it in the music and all that. Same thing with Barry White. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It wasn't, it was like very sensual. It was just like almost like a romantic thing, and even
Exactly.
though it had that tension in it,
Yes.
compared to what the stuff that's right now. You girl, I like your booty. Girl, I like your booty. So anyway, I just
No, he
wrote
did
that.
it very
That will
you
be
should
out.
remind me to clip that one out too.
Yeah. By the way, that's on the Spotify playlist if anyone's interested. Girl, I like your booty. Girl, I like your booty.
But,
Um,
no, he did it in a very tasteful way, and that's what,
Very tasteful.
Marvin Gaye was just, yeah,
Yeah, he was
amazing.
incredible. Billy Joel, Uptown Girls, coming in at number 14. Let me get
Number 14.
number 14. Billy Joel, Uptown Girl. Very good song. At the time, it seemed like a song that should have been out in the 60s.
Yeah,
It had
yeah,
that, but Billy Joel was a class. Guy was a monster. He could do anything.
yes,
It was like
correct.
Uptown Girl, and then For the Longest Time was a song that probably should have been out
Yes,
in the 60s.
correct, correct.
But the guy was just an incredible songwriter and is still performing and still selling out places and stuff. Billy Joel. At number 13, we have Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson with "Say, Say, Say."
You wanna hear something funny? Do you know that today I actually heard that song?
Are you serious?
Yes, I was driving, and
That's
I
so
have satellite
weird.
radio in my car, and
Do you
that
hear it
song.
often, or that was just like a random thing?
No, it was today. It was just I hadn't heard it in a while.
Right, right.
Even my daughter actually likes that song, and I played the video for her because the video is pretty cool with both of
Real
them
funny.
and
Yeah,
Linda McCartney and all that.
yeah, yeah,
But today I just happened to be driving and I heard it, and every time that song comes on, I'm singing
yeah.
because I love that song. I think
That's a
it's a
great
great
song.
melody.
It's
It's
a great
beautiful
melody.
dynamic between Michael and
Yeah,
Paul. It's just
yeah. And
really
they did
good.
another one, right? They did another
Yes,
ballad of it. Girl is
girl is
mine
mine. Yeah, girl is mine.
because
Yeah,
the doggone girl is mine.
girl is mine.
Oh, Michael, I'm not gonna take my girl. Um, Let me see. Number 12. Oh, Lionel Richie, All Night Long. I mean, was that song like that song was like the song. I mean, we used to crank that up in the car. I mean, that was like it's still a great song.
It's still a great song. I hear
Still a
that
great.
one
I
all the
have
time
that on my
also.
playlist too.
One
Uh,
of the memories for him performing that song back then was on the American Music
yes,
Awards.
because he won all those awards. He
Did you
won
see
like
that? Remember that? Remember when
yeah,
he
I
performed
remember.
that song? To
Man,
this day I remember
that
that.
was the best performance, man. And he was
Yes.
the king of that award show.
Yes.
Right? Every
Yes.
year he was out there and he was just
Yep.
like tearing it up with like new hits and everything. I mean, Lionel Richie, man, the 80s, man.
Oh,
I mean, that was like, him and Michael Jackson and, people like that, those guys, man, they just like were writing pop songs. But that song was so catchy and it had the music video was really entertaining as well.
yep.
This is the beginning of MTV,
Right.
so a lot of these songs now for George and myself have images attached to them. Whereas if we
Correct.
go to songs to the 70s and the 80s, we might have concerts attached to them, concert
Right.
images of or even just photos, really,
Exactly.
stuff. But with these songs, immediately the music video comes to mind from the MTV era when MTV used to play music.
Yeah.
So that was Lionel Richie, All Night Long. Number 11, The Eurythmics, Sweet Dreams Are Made
Dreams.
of This.
Yep.
I love the Eurythmics, not my favorite song. They have
I
a body of work
mhm.
that's sick. Like
Yeah.
Time,
Yeah, yes, yes.
ridiculous.
Mhm.
They
Yep.
are
Agreed.
so many great songs. This was a great song because it was their breakout song. It
Right.
really got them the
Right.
the, the exposure, and then they can go out and write the stuff that they wrote. So it was really great, and
Yep.
it was everywhere. I don't know if you remember, but this song was the radio would just, and again the music video. I see the music video and very much part of it, and she was so unique looking. She's beautiful,
Yes.
short
Exactly.
white hair, very striking. You're like, whoa, what is this going on? And it was
Right.
so she was dynamic. I loved the Eurythmics. She was great.
Right.
Nina, 99 red balloons, number 10.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah. No.
yeah.
Never.
It was a German song,
Yeah.
popular. I think it was a popular German song. I think my wife told me that. She was like,
I heard.
the
I did
German
hear that.
song. It was like 99, something like that. She mentioned it to me, and I was like,
Klingon.
I could see why the American version was such a hit, but it was not something that I would. It was on all the time, so it would play. And remember, people, we had only radios.
That's right. There was no internet. There was not.
I couldn't. I didn't have a Spotify playlist. It was
That's
like
right.
if it played on the radio, that's what you were hearing. Now you had your
Exactly.
records, so you can just play your records, but the radio was where you found the music, where you
Exactly.
found new stuff that was coming on, and
Yep.
you were always anticipating for something new. So it came on, and you had to listen to 99 Red Balloons.
Yep. You're right. You're right.
Um, Never got that 100. Um, UB40. Well, 1983 is UB40. If you were born in 1983, UB40 right now. UB40, Red Wine.
Blind.
So, a song that Neil Diamond's a song. When he sang it, I love it. Not a huge fan of the UB40 version of it. Now, UB40 themselves, they're great. They
Yeah.
have some really great songs, and just a great band altogether. But the song, I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? You
I.
loved it. You loved
No.
it.
No.
It
No.
was my wedding song,
All
John.
right. Yes, I confess. No. It's not no. It's. I mean, it's okay. But the funny thing is that it was many years that I did not know that was a remake.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yes,
yeah. You know what? Probably the same thing with me.
till I was well
Yeah,
older that I actually did not know that.
yeah.
It's interesting when you find those songs that you don't, and then you hear an old version of them. You're like, holy
Yeah.
cow! I didn't know that song was
Yeah,
actually.
oh, look, Neil Diamond remade this song by UB40, and he's so silly. He made it like 30 years ago. He remade it 30 years ago. No, I think it's. I mean, I love Neil Diamond, right? Neil
Yes, Neil
Diamond.
Diamond's
I mean, I
amazing.
could do a whole show on Neil Diamond. My mom
Yep.
again was a huge Neil Diamond fan.
Right.
So I got to hear all that stuff. Not one of my favorite Neil Diamond songs. I mean, he's got like
No,
songs
he's got
that are just
got
ridiculous.
incredible songs.
Yeah, just so good. But yeah, that's UB40. So we're gonna go number 8. We're getting down to the end here. Number 8 is Bonnie Tyler, Total Eclipse of the Heart.
I think it's a beautiful song.
Yeah. Here's what I thought about that. What I think about that song. That song when it first came out, I think it took the world by storm. Because
Yes.
her voice was just so
Yes.
good, so strong, so distinctive. Also,
Right.
like you knew it was her. And but then as the song kind of like for me anyway, it grew almost. It seemed to very theatrical.
Yeah, it gives me
It
a
became very
Meatloaf vibe.
right. It's funny you said Meatloaf. I was gonna mention Meatloaf. I should have said it earlier. I
Yes.
was gonna mention Meatloaf. It gives me a Meatloaf vibe.
Clip that
Well,
one
I
out.
went out to dinner last night and it was not
I had a
fully cooked, and I had a
Meatloaf
Meatloaf
vibe.
vibe. And you know, yeah, that was something that that's what it feels like to me. You know,
I could see him singing that,
I like completely, yeah,
right?
100%, yeah, total eclipse of the heart. I could totally see him singing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
But I do like it though. I think it's
it's a good song.
It's a good song. I think it's well put together. But
Yeah,
I
no,
understand. I can see what you're saying about it,
yeah,
though.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
it's
good song.
very
I think it was very theatrical, and I think the
yes.
music video, it's so weird. You know, the images on that are happening there really don't align with anything that makes sense of the song, which I
Right.
love when that happens because you're like, all right, I could just watch the video and not have to be like, oh, okay, he's gonna get the girl, or she
Exactly.
meets the love of her life now at the end, and then they walk off. In 3 minutes, she fell in love. You know,
Mhm.
but no, this was just kind of bizarre images, and I love stuff like that.
Yep.
All right, so we're going on here. Number 7, Culture Club. Do you really want to hurt me? Now I'm a huge Boy George fan. Not this song in particular,
Okay.
but he's got some other songs like Time. Again, I mentioned another song.
Yeah, Time is a good song.
Time
Time
is
is
a
a good
good
song.
song. I
Yes, I
mean,
agree. I agree.
time could have been so much
Yeah, it's a very driving song. It's a very
more.
like
Yeah, and
has a
very
beautiful
the
groove to it,
melody and his voice is really great in it.
Yes,
Boy
yes.
George is really a great singer. You know, I
Yeah,
mean,
he is.
he
I
kind of,
agree.
he kind of came in and shocked everybody because of the
Right.
way, the the look and stuff.
Mhm. Right.
But he was one of those guys that delivered. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It wasn't like he came out for just to show that he was this guy and then didn't have the goods. He had the goods, and he
Yes.
still has the goods. He's
Yes.
still singing.
I agree.
But definitely, that was number 7.
Mhm.
Number 6, David Bowie. Let's dance.
What a
Amazing.
unbelievable song.
Love this song.
That song is one song that I will never shut off.
No, that song stays on. And funny thing is, if that song comes on and it's halfway through, I'll go find it and play it all
Yeah.
the way through somewhere.
Yes,
I'm like, I
yes,
can't not
yes.
miss this song, and it drives. And I mean, Bowie was one of the most exciting and uniquely creative individuals to ever walk the earth. He was such a true artist. You know what I mean? I
Yes.
mean, a
Agreed.
true artist. Like, he did not really bow to anyone. He did exactly what he wanted to do. He wore what he wanted to wear. He wrote what he wanted to write. And this is the proof of that. This song
Yes.
is a song that you would not think that he would come out with. And and it was such a perfect song for him, because
Exactly.
but it's also he put Bowie to it. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And it's like, it's
I
amazing. And of course, we
if you
introduced Stevie Ray Vaughan to
well, yeah, and
to
that
the
you were the one that let me know that he was on that track, but what I didn't know on that track was Nile Rodgers played most
Oh,
of the
yeah?
song most of the guitar on that,
Yeah.
as well as doing a lot of the mixing on that, and Omar Hakim played the
And
drums.
Omar Hakim was the drummer, yeah. Yeah, actually, Stevie was asked by Bowie to go on tour with him,
Oh,
and
wow.
Stevie said he didn't want to go because he wanted to record his own album and stuff,
Right.
and he wanted to do his thing. So he actually turned down David Bowie to go do it, to go do his thing. So, but yeah, that was the first time that I heard that guitar from Stevie Ray Vaughan. Now, I
Mhm.
didn't know about Stevie Ray Vaughan until probably about a few years later.
Right.
When Texas Flood came out, right around that time. But I didn't hear about Texas Flood till years later.
Right.
It wasn't until like 88, like 88, 89 that I started like hearing Stevie Ray Vaughan. And I was like, oh my God, and he blew my mind. So Stevie and Bowie on that track was just incredible, and
Agreed.
such a great
Agreed.
driving song too.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny, it is a long song,
It has,
and for
yeah.
radio they cut it for radio, but it's
When you
much
hear the
longer than what it
song,
is,
it
yeah.
it has a
Yeah.
lot of really cool parts in it, and
Yes.
more guitar too, which is
Correct.
probably one of the reasons why he did that.
Yeah.
Because it's such a good groove. You're like, man, let's not cut this up. Man.
Oh,
Just
no.
let this flow. All right. So now we're gonna go to the guy who controlled the '80s. Number 5 is Michael Jackson. Beat It.
Beat it.
So,
I'm waiting. I thought you were gonna
well,
what are you
what
gonna
do you
say?
say? I mean,
It's interesting. You were I think in the impact that I felt when I heard that, first of all, the video, right? Watching the video was a
a
major
million
thing,
times too, right?
right? but the impact of that for me was he came off of the really poppy stuff,
Yeah.
right, with the Off the Wall and all these other things, right, that were more very pop, and all of a sudden it's this driving riff, which was played by Steve Lukather,
Hmm.
and this rock heavy driving song, Jeff Porcaro on drums, and Eddie Van Halen on
Solo.
guitar. And I'm like, holy cow, where did he come up with this?
Yeah.
Completely blew me away. And I'm 11 years old, and I'm like,
Yeah.
holy cow.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Michael Jackson in general, I think we all know what happened when he came out, but it happened a few years earlier, when he was on the 25th anniversary of the
right,
Motown. Everybody
right.
knows that famous when he came out and he did Billie Jean and he did the moonwalk and the next day, George, you were young,
Yes.
but I do remember that the next day the world was different.
Yes.
Like the
Yes.
world
Yes.
shifted. Something
Correct.
happened in the
Correct.
world right after Motown 25th, where people were. I went to school, and everybody was. Did you see Michael Jackson? He was doing the move. Did you see that? Did you see that? And it was like, and then the songs came out, and then it was over, took over the world. But "Beat It" was one of those videos that, till this day, that song is being, they're doing they're doing the flash mobs and stuff like that, where they
Yep.
meet and they do the dances and they're all the same, so epic. I
Yes.
mean, such an
Yes.
epic song, such a moment in history where music really elevated to something that was new, and
Right.
that's kind of like what we talk about now, like what's the next thing that's going to blow us away, you know what I mean?
Correct.
It's like
Correct.
we're waiting,
Right.
reggaeton maybe. No, I'm just kidding. But for me, it was like, I just think that also Michael Jackson's genius was not only Michael Jackson. You mentioned
Oh
some
no.
musicians that were there that were
Yeah.
like,
It was
I
Quincy
mean,
Jones
Steve
too.
Lukather, Quincy Jones, Eddie Van Halen, Porcaro on drums. I mean, the best of the best
Yes.
making this track happen, and just the Thriller album in itself was
Yes.
just an incredible.
Now, when I mentioned that gentleman I wanted to
Yeah,
talk
we're
about
gonna
too
talk
as
about
well. We'll
that, and
talk about that as
we'll
yeah.
talk about that for sure. So, all right, so let's go to number 4. It's
Oh,
Culture Club.
thank you, Leah. By the way, got a heart from Leah.
Oh, thank you, Leah. I appreciate it. Love, love, love. Um, so Culture Club, Karma Chameleon.
Come on, come on, come on. You know, I'm I get torn with that song. I mean, there's sometimes where I'm in the mood for it, and there's sometimes where I'm not.
Right, like when you're dressed as a woman,
Yeah, well,
you're
of
really
course,
into it, and then
that's
when you're
only on
dressed
Saturdays.
as a Viking,
Saturday
then
night.
you like. Um, no, I know exactly what you mean though, because it is a fun song.
It is right,
It's a
correct.
fun song.
It is a fun
And
song. It's
that's the
just
thing about music, we sometimes get a little bit too significant about
yeah,
music, and it's like at the end of the day, do people enjoy listening to it,
right.
right? That's the bottom line.
You're right.
It has nothing to do with like the level of like, oh well, I like what he did on here, where they changed keys and then they modulated and they did, that's all fun and dandy and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, do people like it? And people were walking around going, come, chameleon, you come and go, and they just really are into it, So
No,
it's a
you're
good,
right,
good
and
fun song.
there's exact, but the other part of it is the mood, right? So, like
Right.
certain songs that I listen to is depend on the mood that I'm in, and
Sure.
if I'm in a fun mood, yeah, that song I would love it. But then if I'm
Yeah.
in another type of mood, I'm like I don't want to hear it,
Yeah. Like
So
if you're like laying down ready for bed and somebody's like, come, chameleon, can you turn that thing?
yeah, my wife does that all the time.
Right in your ear. Come. Not even the record. She's just singing in your ear. Come, chameleon. And you're like, what are you doing? I gotta go to work in the morning. All right, so hold on. Let's see where else. One Culture Club. Okay, so number 3, Michael Jackson, Billie Jean.
Billie Jean again.
Again,
I
what can
mean,
you
just
say? That video came out
when those drums start, it's over.
epic.
Yes.
Epic. I mean, you don't even need to know. My kids, my
Yes.
son who's 6 years old, when those drums started, he knows that's Billie Jean.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
That's it.
And it's that's gonna be for a long time. And the thing about it also is that the drum pattern is not super complex. It's
No,
just
it's a
the
very
sound,
straightforward, and Ndugu Chancellor plays it very
right?
straightforward.
And I love how the simplicity of it goes with the melody of it. You know what I
Right,
mean? Where
exactly.
everything in the song is not super complex, but the just man, I mean, Billie Jean, what a song. And the video, of course, we have these images in our head of him walking and those lights turning on,
Yep,
watching the video
absolutely.
over and over again and saying like, oh look, oh, see how when he disappears the steps still go and the lights still go, and trying to analyze the videos and stuff. So an epic song, an epic
Agreed,
artist.
agreed.
Number two, The Police, Every Breath You Take.
You wanna hear something interesting? So, I'm a huge Police fan, I'm a huge Sting fan, a lot of people
I know
know
what you're gonna
that.
say because I'm saying the same thing.
This is not one of my favorite songs.
No, it's not.
And I get it. I know this is, at the time this was the song, everybody loved it, blah, blah, blah. To me, the song is like monotonous to the whole thing.
Yeah.
It just goes, maybe 4 or
I
5
mean, it
chords
has
and
that
this.
little, oh, can't you
Yeah, it
see?
has that
It
little
has
part, but
that
the
little
rest.
section, but overall, the song is about a
An
stalker.
obsessive, yeah, an
It's
obsessive
about
person.
a very dangerous stalker which needs to be stopped.
Yes.
Um, it's going on 40 years and it's still he's still trying to follow this thing. Um,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
I but the song, it to me is just like
yeah,
when I
and,
honest
and yeah.
get
Yeah, I actually don't even like it. Like if it comes on, I don't listen to it. And it's not anything to do about the police because I love the police. I mean, the
oh,
synchronicity albums are
forget
like
about it. Yeah,
forget
forget
it. They're
about it.
nuts. I mean, all that stuff that every little thing she does is magic is like one of my
Yes,
favorite songs of all time.
yes,
You know
agreed.
what I mean? Just incredible. So the Roxanne and all those things, just great songs. This one not my favorite.
I
Not
agree.
my not police song. Not my
Right.
favorite police song. But it is number two for
Okay.
1983. And ladies and gentlemen, we are at number one. The number
Number
one
1.
song. Yeah. The number one song of 1983. Um, but first, a note from Michelle. Michelle writes, Dear Casey, my
My
husband
dog died.
my husband does not like lasagna. Do it in my face. So the number one song is Irene Cara,
Sarah, who recently passed away,
who
by the way.
recently passed away. Flashdance, Water Feeling. So, Irene Cara, man, she was amazing. What a voice and what
Yes.
incredible hits.
Yep,
And she did the Flashdance records and stuff like that. But she had hits before and after that.
yeah,
Really great songs. This year was that year of that film, so
right,
these
correct.
songs were really hot for her. And I think what was the other one that she had in there? I think there was one earlier on, right, that I mentioned. Or maybe not.
Hold on.
Did she?
Did you?
Maybe not.
No, I don't
I
think
guess
so.
not. No, I was thinking of another song. Or maybe it was like later on the list because I've been looking at the whole list, and there's a
Okay.
lot of mentions there of people. Billy Joel again, and David Bowie with China Girl, and
Right.
Michael Jackson is there again with "Want to Be Starting Something." I mean, it's kind of. I mean, this is the top 100. I mean, Michael Jackson is in it a bunch of times.
Jeez.
So that was the number one song of
Wow.
1983. Irene Cara from Flashdance. What a feeling.
Interesting.
Yeah, and definitely condolences to Irene Cara and family and
Yes.
friends and everything because she was really an amazing artist. Um, and so that's our list. We're gonna take a moment because we want to actually acknowledge a songwriter that maybe a lot of people really don't know. Um, did the work that he did in
Yeah.
the 80s. And
Yes.
you'll probably be blown away that this one dude wrote the songs that some of them that we talked about today
Yeah,
on the
and I
list.
have a little list of just a little snippet of things. So,
Yeah, so I'm gonna turn it over
the
to George.
oh, thank
Sorry.
there there was
Take it
a
away,
so there
George. George, just go ahead whenever you're ready. Just
Damn you!
do it. Sorry.
John, you always know how to take my spotlight. It's all about you. Anyway, so there was a gentleman in this era who was writing amazing material, and his name, and some of you may or may have not heard of him, his name was Rod Temperton. And the reason why you guys should know about him is because I'll give you an example of the songs that he wrote, not only wrote, but he arranged them. So here's just a few examples of the songs that he wrote: Thriller, Always and Forever, Baby Be Mine, Michael Jackson, Baby Come to Me, Patty Austin and James Ingram, Boogie Nights, Give Me the Night, George Benson, Groove Line, Ladies Night, The Lady in My Life, Michael Jackson, Love Times Love, George Benson, Off the Wall, Michael Jackson, Stomp, The Brothers Johnson, Sweet Freedom, Michael McDonald, Rock With You, Michael Jackson, and Yamo Be There, James Ingram and Michael McDonald.
Sick. I mean, if you write two of those songs, no, if you write one of those songs, you have a career, right? If you write, if you wrote, if you want, what he wrote, "Want to Be Given," give me the Michael Jackson song, the
He wrote Thriller.
he wrote Thriller. If you
Thriller.
just write Thriller in your career, you have a full career, right? If you only wrote that one song for Michael Jackson, you're a songwriter. You're going to be writing for the rest of your life. Even if any of the songs don't become hits after that, you have a career. This dude did it over and over and over again. And
Yes, he was just to give some backstory. He was the keyboard player for the band Heatwave, and he wrote all of their hits, or I think most of their hits. And then Quincy Jones really loved his writing and tapped him to start working with the Michael Jackson stuff, and that's how that started. So he started writing a lot of those Michael Jackson hits. Literally, he wrote them and arranged them. The players who actually talk about him to this day say, "We just came in and played what he said to play." He arranged all these things. And the interesting story about, for those of you who like Thriller, the Vincent Price part at the end when he actually does that little rap. Well, the story goes that that the night before Vincent Price was supposed to do that in the studio, Quincy Jones called Rod Temperton and said, "Listen, Vincent Price was supposed to come and just ad-lib something, but we don't know what he was going to say." So he says, "I'm afraid that he might get stuck." So he says, "Can you write something for him just in case we need something?" So he says, "Sure. When I wake up in the morning, I'll write it." This is a little British guy, by the way.
Yeah.
So in the morning, he gets up in the morning. He forgets he has a meeting with another guy. So he's in the meeting with this guy, and then after meeting, he's supposed to go to the studio and meet Vincent Price. So right at the end of the meeting, Quincy Jones calls him, says, "How's that thing going?" He goes, "Oh, I'm almost done." He hadn't written one lick. He gets in the cab with a piece of paper, and from the cab ride to the studio writes 3 verses. Okay, 3 verses. When he gets to the studio, there is a limo outside, and coming out of that limo is Vincent Price.
Oh man.
So he tells the cab to go to the back of the studio so he can go in the back entrance, runs in, photocopies the lyrics, and runs into the studio and puts them right on top of the music stand before Vincent Price walks in.
Oh my.
And Vincent Price comes in and does 2 out of the 3 of the verses that he wrote.
Oh my. Unbelievable. I just put at the bottom there of the screen secondhandsongs.com artist, and it's actually a direct link to Rod's songs.
Yes.
You can actually check out the list of stuff, because he also did Heat Wave,
Yes.
Donald Summer.
Yeah.
He did the Donald Summer, Love Is in Control. Love Is Just a Breath Away. I mean, he's all these the Manhattan Transfer. Wow.
Manhattan Transfer. Yeah, they had a song that he did that Anita Baker had remade later on.
Wow.
But he was famous for writing 200 for coming up with 200 song titles before he actually settled on one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's Mr. Rod Temperton. So yeah, if you guys get a chance to check out his stuff or anything on YouTube, Rod Temperton, he was an amazing man. He passed away in 2016. But Michael Jackson, a lot of his stuff wouldn't have been what it was if it wasn't for him.
So what amazes me is that he arranged it.
Yes, he also
I
arranged it.
mean,
He was brilliant. That's what Quincy Jones loved about him, is that he had this. He was a brilliant arranger as well. And that's what he
that's
was.
the thing that really is just shocking to me that he
Yes.
was able to arrange.
Yeah.
Um,
Every little part of Thriller was all him.
yeah, I'm just gonna put his name at the bottom there so people can just see what
Yep.
his name
Rod
is.
Temperton. Yep. If you have a chance,
Yeah, check them
take a
out,
look.
folks, because I mean, really respect the songwriters. You know, they sometimes don't get the recognition that they deserve, especially when a song gets really a huge hit. I mean, everyone is thinking like that new Michael Jackson song, and nobody's saying that new Rod Temperton
Exactly.
song. You know,
Exactly.
so but yeah, that's awesome, man. Thank you for that. Cool. So we are about 10 minutes to 8. We have no time limit here. We are going to just finish what we started, just like Michael Jackson. Did he write that one too? One of the
He probably did. Who
probably did.
knows?
Um, but so George and I decided that'd be fun. Now, George, you probably already saw some of my list there because you could see some of the photos that I picked. But
No, I
anyway,
didn't even look. I didn't
you
even
didn't
look.
look. Okay, good. So we decided that we were going to pick our top favorite artists or songs
Songs.
of the 1983 year, and then discuss why it was why we chose that and what was the significance behind the reason we chose that, and to see what we come up with. So I don't know what George picked. George doesn't know what I picked. So whenever you's ready, I'm you can go and we can start.
Yeah. So,
Why don't you go
some of
first?
the
And we're gonna do it from 5 to 1.
yeah, and I don't know if did we say that they had to be from this list, or it could just be 1983.
Um, it could just be 1983, I guess. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean, because some of mine are on the
some of the
list, but there are
probably
some that
not.
are not
Right.
from this
Yeah, I
list.
mean, it's his favorite songs of 1983.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm
I
just
used the list because that's what I had in front of me.
right,
But if
correct.
I probably would have Googled something, I would have probably found something
Yeah.
else. But I mean,
Okay.
for me, this list is pretty accurate.
No, I agree. Okay. So, all right. So again, I'm a guy who loves melody. I'm a guy who loves a good the songs that really just capture me. Whether it could be a ballad, it could be a fast song, doesn't matter to me. So anyway, my number 5 song is not on this list, but it was actually came out in 83. And I built a new respect for this song recently because I really saw the chord structures in it, and I was so blown away. So my number 5 song is Never Gonna Let You Go by Sergio Mendes.
Oh,
When
one of
I
the
saw
most
Rick Beato
Rick Beato's video. I remember that.
talk about this song, I could not believe it. Now, this is a song, again, I love this song. It's one of those songs that I'll sing to every time I hear it.
Great
I
song.
just think it's a beautifully
So that
written
was
song.
83, huh?
That was 83. It actually initially was written, or it was first done in 82, but it actually became big in 83.
Right.
That's when it actually came out. So
Oh, I'm surprised to
that's,
say it
yeah.
must
So
be
that,
on the list, but probably further down or
yeah,
something.
yeah. So, yeah, it was on his 1983 self-titled album.
That's amazing. That was one of those songs. Actually, when I saw the Rick Beato thing, it also blew me away because I had
Yes.
no idea. You know, it's because it seems like such an easy song that to sing. You know what I mean?
Correct.
But
Correct.
when you try to play it, you're like, what the?
Yeah, it was actually, just so you know, it was first recorded by Dionne Warwick in 82.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yes, and but it was not like, it was only recorded for like I think it was for a
Like a movie
movie
or
or
something.
TV or something like that.
Yeah.
But the rendition that we know of was Sergio Mendes' 83 self-titled album.
Interesting. Well,
Yes.
Sergio Mendes, it was 83, number 83 on the top 100 of
Yeah.
1983.
Oh, well, there you
And
go.
we're gonna let you go. Yeah. So it was up there for sure.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
it's funny, sometimes that happens. You know, Dionne Warwick also sung That's What Friends Are for the film Night Shift, which had Henry Winkler,
Henry Winkler.
Shelley
That's
Long,
right.
and
Right.
Michael Keaton.
Look at that.
And at the end of the song, he sang this beautiful, it was Rod Stewart, actually. No, I'm sorry. Rod Stewart sang the song at the
Okay.
end of Night Shift.
Night Shift. Okay.
And then Dionne Warwick and well, who was it?
Oh, Elton John and
John, Stevie Wonder,
Stevie
and
Wonder. Yes, I
Gladys
think it was
Knight.
those.
I think was it Gladys Knight?
No, Dionne Warwick, Elton John, Stevie. Wasn't it those 3?
No, I thought it was 4. I thought
Oh,
it
I
was
could be
4.
wrong, but I thought it was 3.
No, I thought it was 4. I got to check again now. Now I have to check. But anyway, I'll check as soon as when you do
Okay.
number four, I'll check. I'm gonna
Okay.
do my
So
number.
are we you're gonna okay, so you get
So, so my number five. So my number
wrong.
five is my number five is Billie Jean.
Ah,
Um,
nice.
Michael Jackson, Billie Jean. Oh, this is Beat It.
Let's beat it.
I hit the wrong thing. Sorry, Billie Jean. Um,
Nice.
so the Billie Jean track at the time when it came out, because I was kind of I was at the age of I was 15, 16 years old, and I was kind of like, out there and doing some little break dancing, and I was kind of like, I was just like, I was out there and stuff. It was such a huge thing, but we had cable in my house. We had HBO, MTV, and we had some channels and stuff. So
Right.
people would come to my house and learn Michael Jackson moves off of my screen. So I would stand with them, and I had a friend of mine who was an actual Michael Jackson impersonator. He used to come and dressed and everything, and he
Wow.
would do shows and everything. But he would come to my house to rehearse, and because
Uh-huh.
I had the thing, so we would watch it. And I just remember just being so amazed by his presence on stage. His
Mhm.
on just coming through the screen and stuff. And it was just such an incredible thing. This was also an era. A lot of people don't. Right now we kind of a celebrity, you can go to their Twitter, you can go to their Facebook, their Instagram, their Snapchat, TikTok, whatever you can, and you could see them interacting sometimes in real time. You can
Yes.
see them on talk shows. You can see them on a whole bunch of, you can just, they're very accessible to at least view.
Right. Mhm.
Whereas back in 1983, you only got to see them on MTV, and
Yes.
if you were
That's right.
lucky enough to be able to buy a ticket to go see Michael Jackson,
Correct.
and the award shows.
Right.
So the award shows were massive. When Michael Jackson would come out on the Grammys or whatever and perform, the world stopped. I was just like, I
Yeah.
watching
Yeah.
Michael Jackson's gonna be on tonight. Everybody's running home to go watch Michael Jackson, because it was the only time that we got to see
Yep.
the guys that we wanna see. So that was my number five.
Cool. Cool. Absolutely. All right. So my number 4 my number 4 is actually one that we went over, this list is, the Michael Jackson, Paul McCartney, "Say, Say, Say."
Ah,
Say, say. Again, it's funny how I heard that today, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, "Oh, look at that, it's on my list." But, yeah, it's the video is very entertaining, it's a lot of fun to watch them interact and just all the things that they do, they, like, dress like clowns, and they're, doing all these things, but, it's a beautiful collaboration between them 2,
yeah,
and,
yeah. I
you
really
don't
love,
again,
I really love that.
you don't see a lot of that stuff like that,
Yeah,
the way they did it, at least,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
today, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was funny because you hear stories about Michael Jackson, and later on they had a little bit of
I know they had a
Hey,
tiff
Brian, thank you very much. Brian is
Thank
welcome.
you, sir.
Loves the new background. Thank you. Appreciate it. But they had a little bit of something because Michael Jackson went to Paul and he was like, he goes, "I'm gonna own your
Mm.
music,"
Yeah,
and Paul's like,
yeah,
"What are you talking about?" And he ended up doing it. But he
yeah,
did. Paul did get his stuff back,
right.
eventually and stuff. But people don't realize that Michael Jackson was also a very, very shrewd businessman as well.
Yes, yes,
He
yes.
was, very knew what he wanted, and just got it.
And Paul admitted that the Beatles were very naive about their music.
Well, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, we're looking at the '60s, where remember, money did not come into music till the '50s when Elvis
Mhm.
Presley.
Right,
Elvis Presley showed you can make $1 million with music, and then people are like,
correct.
"Oh, wait a minute, Elvis Presley, did that?" And there were other artists at that during that time as well, but Elvis was the one that really just blew it out of the water. And then the
Right,
Beatles, of course, took it to another level. So then people were now realizing, oh, we can. They don't know anything.
right,
They can sign off their publishing. They could sign off everything, and we just give them money for their shows. So and if you're 20 years old and somebody hands you $100,000, you're rich.
right. No, I agree,
But they're
agree.
realizing that you just made $10 million.
Right,
Everyone else took it. So that's part of what was going on back then. So yeah, and Michael, I think, had his father, who was kind of a, had his his issues, or
Right.
from what I've read, I don't know because I wasn't there, so I don't like to judge in that way. But from what I've read, I know that there was some stuff, even from Michael's own accounts, there were some moments that were rough on. So I think a lot of the money was really held pretty
Yes,
tight.
I agree.
Like, we gonna get every dime, we get. So just to backtrack, that's what Friends are for. It was Dionne Warwick, Gladys Knight, Elton
Oh,
John, and
was
Stevie
Gladys.
Wonder.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So I missed that.
And weirdly, Gallagher. He was singing just the back. No.
I thought it
Um,
was Carrot Top.
I love Carrot Top, actually. Carrot Top is hilarious.
Mm.
Um, I like Gallagher too, actually. He's hilarious too.
Yeah, there.
I don't know if he can sing though. All right, so my number, where am I up to? 4?
I
Are
did
you
not.
doing
I
4?
did my number 4.
Okay, yeah, so I'm doing my number 4. So now my number 4 is Beat It.
Ah,
So, and this again, same reasons. My 5 and 4 are basically the same. It's because Michael Jackson, to me, during that era, that jacket right there that he's wearing, I would never wear it because I'd be embarrassed to wear it. And I would look ridiculous if you can imagine a
you
short
know
little
you
Puerto
have
Rican
one.
walking down the Bronx wearing that. But
Yeah,
uh,
but it would yeah, not like that
I'm
breakdancing
not gonna
jacket you
look like
had
that.
when you were, 1981. Come on.
That's true. That's true. I had my windbreakers with the white stripes and stuff.
Exactly.
But but yeah, I would not be able to pull that off. But anyway, Michael Jackson was just a huge influence on me and my whole family and pretty much everybody. So that was my number 4.
Okay. My number 3 is, again, kind of going back to, more of a melodic thing, and again, I'm a sucker for ballads, for really a really, really good ballad. So I'm kinda going back to the ballad piece. Now, again, this is something that was in that year, but it wasn't on this list. It's probably down the list, but it's, "Baby Come to Me" by Patty Austin and James Ingram.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a
I
great
love
song.
I love that song, one of my
That's a
favorite
great song.
ballads,
Yeah.
and it was, again, written by Rod Temperton, and
Man, that dude.
yeah,
Unbelievable.
and it's just, yeah, it's one of my favorite ballads just of all time. So I every time it comes on,
Wow.
I listen to it, and, I love James Ingram. I've always loved James Ingram. Actually,
Yeah, me too.
he has significance to me because he did a song with John Tesh that was my wedding song.
Oh, that's right. I remember.
And, I've always liked his voice. I kinda liken him to Michael McDonald a little bit, and I'm a big
Mhm.
Michael McDonald fan as well.
Yeah.
So I've always liked, and Patty Austin is Patty Austin. I mean, she's just
Yeah.
incredible singer.
She's amazing.
So, yeah, so that's my number 3.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, we lost him too early too, man. I mean,
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
that
And,
dude
oh,
was
by the way, fun fact, he wrote PYT.
James Ingram.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
With
I
Michael
heard
Jackson?
this the other day.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, yeah, it was Quincy Jones and one of his buddies. The guy that was with him was telling the story that they were both in the car. These young girls were next to them in the car, and they were like, "Hey, where you guys going?" They were like, "Oh, they were chatting. They were beautiful girls, and they're like, okay. They're going to a party in Beverly Hills." So girls drove off, and the guy goes, "Oh, those are some pretty young girls." And Quincy Jones goes, "Yeah, PYT, pretty young girl." Oh, yeah, pretty young thing. That's what it was.
Young
Pretty
thing.
young
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. He goes, PYT. He goes, "That's a great thing for a song." So he calls James Ingram and he gives him the pitch, and James Ingram writes the song like 2 days later.
Wow. That's
There you
unbelievable. Wow. I didn't know that. I didn't,
Yeah.
never knew that. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, Quincy Jones and James Ingram did some great stuff
Yes.
together also. And so, that's the thing about music, and it becomes such a family. You're
Yeah.
calling people up and just like, hey, check this out. There's no like he didn't like Quincy Jones didn't say like, oh, I'm gonna go home and write this now.
Right.
No, he called him up and said, hey, write it, and he wrote it.
There
You
you
know what
go.
I mean? It's just like the being able to give the love and give the pitch. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's wonderful. I love that. That's awesome. All right, so my
Number
next one is by Gallagher. Actually, no, my next one is actually,
Crush the Watermelon.
yeah, written by Rob. um, So I struggled a little bit with these two next songs to be three and two, but my number three is the one that I had mentioned. My mom is
Islands in the
very much
Stream.
into, and part of the reason why I think it's really, music is emotional, right? I mean, let's
Yes.
just, it strikes. I was talking about this on a thing that I was on last week, and we were talking about music and how music goes directly to the spirit. There's
Right.
no bias, right?
Right.
Like our eyes have to see art. We have to see a movie. We have to, what I mean? We have to experience certain paintings and with our eyes. But music, it goes whoosh. You can have your eyes
Yep.
closed. You can be asleep. You can be whatever it is. It'll just boom. It goes right there, and it's very
Correct.
direct. And so for me, whenever I hear that song, immediately I think of mom. I think of that
Uh,
time. I think of Westchester Avenue, Southern Boulevard. I think of
yep.
all that whole neighborhood, basically. And so that for me is number three.
All right.
Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton, and we're in Tennessee now, where Dolly Parton lives, and my son loves Jolene, which is one of the Dolly
Oh,
Parton songs. Yeah,
nice.
so
Nice.
we were singing in the car, Jolene, Jolene. So it's a good time. Dolly Parton, love her.
Amazing. All right. Absolutely. All right. So my number two is again a song we did talk about here on this list. It's "Let's Dance" by David Bowie.
Nice.
That's
It's
yeah,
it's incredible.
yeah. There's no way you cannot listen to that song and just like fall
No,
in love with it and fall in love with the groove. And
no. It,
there's a million musicians on that song, but
and we have to
it,
also talk about the. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say there's a million musicians on the song who made that song great and driving. But man, what a great tune.
We have to also talk about the production value,
Yes,
right? The
yes,
production was so clean and it popped. Everything was so well balanced on that song. And you heard Stevie's guitar in the background,
yes,
let's
yep,
dance. Ding, 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 ding.
yep,
You heard it. It was like, and I know it's him because I know that guitar sound, you know what I mean? Like
exactly,
I can hear
exactly.
it when those notes come, it's just awesome. So yeah,
But
that's
it's interesting. I'm wondering. It's interesting how you would get a guy who's a primarily a blues guy,
yeah, I
right?
mean, completely a blues guy, only a blues guy.
Right, a blues guy to be on a track like that. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like it's not something you would normally associate.
Right. But again, that's the genius of
Of
Bowie.
Bowie,
He just
yeah,
he
he
hears
wanted,
it. He's like, that's the guy, that's
yeah,
the guy, and yeah, so that's awesome. That's
yep.
awesome. So that was your number two?
That was my number two.
Okay, so my number two is Lionel Richie, All Night Long.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, I mean, this song for me, till this day, when this song comes out, it just, I stop, I listen to it. I try to still sing that part that I can never sing correctly. Bum-ba-ding-dum-bang-dum. Oh,
Hey, number, number.
yeah.
John
Um,
Robinson on drums
yeah, John Robinson on drums. Well, John Robinson was on
on
everything,
every show.
pretty much on a bunch of stuff there. But yeah, that song for me was also it's very nostalgic. Obviously, 1983,
Yes,
and I'm that age where I'm realizing life.
right,
Almost like
right.
I'm aware now of music and
Hmm.
enjoyment of music and dancing, and that kind of part of it was just entering my universe. So you hear songs
Right.
like this, they just really just capture you. And again, my mom, huge fan, and she always played this record. She had the little record, and she would always play that. So Lionel Richie, All Night Long.
Oh,
And
great song.
now George's number one.
My number one is pretty straightforward. We talked about it, but it definitely was just one of the things that blew me
Rod
away.
Stewart's
Maggie May, no, um,
Maggie.
I don't know, it wasn't even out there. Um,
I was on there. Mary Jane was on there. Mary Jane.
yeah. So my number one is just always going to be the classic "Beat It," Michael Jackson.
That's right. Yeah.
Just just incredible stuff. Again with Eddie Van Halen on there. Steve Porcaro, Jeff Porcaro. Actually, you had three of the members of Toto on there. produced by Quincy Jones, and songwriting Michael Jackson. Just again, just a beautiful driving rock tune that just
Yeah,
that just blows you away. It's just,
yeah,
yeah. And I remember, again, I remember as a kid, that was one of my fondest memories of being affected by that song,
yeah,
listening to that song. I actually had the album.
yeah, yeah,
Had the album. I had the poster of Michael. That poster that you had of Michael leaning like this. I had that poster in my room.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
You took down my picture. I remember, and you put that one up. I remember
yeah,
that.
that's exactly what I did. You're absolutely right.
I was like, you
And
know what? I
because,
can't
well,
even
actually,
be mad.
I didn't have to, because your picture was so small that I could just put.
I can't even be mad.
But
Yeah,
yes,
you know what I was thinking about that song also,
yes,
that his vocals on that song was again
yes.
so perfect.
Hmm.
Like these are songs that cannot really be recreated. I'm
No,
sure somebody at somewhere down the line will try, you know what I
right,
mean? But they're not songs that you can just create.
right.
You know, I mean, how many covers of Michael Jackson's "Beat It" are there out there? I don't think
I've never
who
heard one.
who would have the cojones to do
Yeah,
that?
no,
You know what I
no,
mean?
no.
Same thing with Billie Jean. I've heard Billie Jean versions, actually really
Hmm.
good ones,
Hmm.
done really differently.
Right.
You know, but "Beat It," I don't think I've ever heard
No,
any.
I've never heard
And
that.
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's some out there, but nothing that's ever hit my radar.
That's like remaking ET. You just
Right,
can't do it.
right. You
You know?
can't do it unless it's Steven Spielberg and you
Yeah.
know you have some other brilliant script on there, but
There's a
can't just do
magic that
that.
happens that
Yeah,
cannot be recreated.
it cannot. It cannot. 100%. So my number one, we talked about it. You talked about it. It was on your list. David Bowie, "Let's Dance."
Let's dance.
And
Love it.
the reason this song is so important to me is because it introduced me to Bowie.
Right.
I didn't know
Yes.
who David Bowie
Same.
really
Same.
was.
Same with me.
It introduced me to Stevie Ray. Like
Right.
it was the first time I heard that guitar sound. And it wasn't
Right.
until years later. But man, when that song, when you hear that, being somebody who wanted to play guitar and was really interested in the guitar at such a young age, that was just such a powerful thing for me to hear
Right.
that.
Right.
And now looking back, how it had the best of both worlds. Was it Picaro on that? Who was
On
no,
no, that was
Hakeem, right?
Omar
Omar,
Hakim
yeah,
on
Hakeem was on there. Just an incredible track from top to bottom, from start to finish. Actually, all the ones that we talked about on our top five, you know, um, our lists. I think we had two of the same ones on the
yeah,
list.
yeah, yep,
But yeah, "Beat It" and "Let's Dance," 1983,
yeah,
really the top songs, really
yeah.
for
Those are the top
for
ones.
Counterparts.
Exactly.
But yeah, this is
Wow.
awesome. Cool. So we went over a little bit, but we want to thank everybody for tuning in. We are back, and we're going to be doing a lot more stuff also in between our shows. I want to just a couple of announcements. One, if you do watch this show and you've gotten this far, if you hit the like, I know I never say that on this, and
Wow, John.
I know, but I never say it, but people always tell me I should say it because it does help with the if you're on YouTube watching and you hit the little like button, it helps YouTube know that people are watching us, and then more people will watch, and then we can get a little bit more, and we can do better shows and more sponsors and just overall. So we appreciate that, and if you share it as well. Um, Lastly, if you visit counterpartsshow.com, we do have a new app that you can actually download. You can watch the show right on your phone. You can also watch all the previous episodes as well. And you can communicate with us directly through the app. And George and I are going to try to figure out, because we're still kind of working out some of the, not the kinks because it works, but we're working out some of the systems of how we're going to actually utilize it. But we're
Right.
going to put some content on there, some special stuff that you won't get on some of the other platforms eventually. We're going to get to that in the next couple of days, week or so. But yes, so we are very excited to be back. We want to thank you all for tuning in. George, thank you very much. As always,
Thank you, sir.
awesome. And we'll
Thank you.
pick another year. And by the way, if you guys have a year that we should look at, send it over because we're curious. We'll look at the
Absolutely.
year and we'll do another episode. And yeah, and it's really good stuff. So one of the things that George and I also talk about, I changed the color here because because we're on our. But one of the things that we like to talk about in, and I'm gonna play some music here because, oh yeah, oh yeah, we are ending the show like this, people. This is a song by Franz Gordon, Someone Who Cares, it's called. And what I want to do is I want to end this show positive, with a positive message. And I don't have one today, but no, I do have one. I'm sorry. But I want to end it in a way that we understand what we're trying to do here with Counterparts and what George and I are really serious about. And we do take this seriously. We really want to elevate the artists. We want people to understand that artists really are extremely important and really shape our future. And we see what's happening sometimes in the world of music and stuff, and it can be a little disturbing, especially we both have young kids. And we come from an era where music was so amazing and so beautiful. Not to say that there isn't a great, beautiful music happening right now. There is, but we need to rediscover it more. And we need to, as my friend said, which I wrote down, said we need to reinstate the artist as the leader. And I love that because that's really what this show is about. It's reinstating the artist as the leader. Let them decide what art they want to create, and then let us give them the platform to share that, so we can elevate society and we can all live happily ever after. As cheesy as that sounds, that is exactly what I said, because that is the goal of what we want to do. We want to live happy. We want to be able to help each other and love each other, right? So that's my little spiel for this evening. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, George. God bless you all. We'll see you all again next week, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday. And as always,